Extra.
Welcome to this very interesting extension of Good Morning Uganda, which is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Now, here I always have guests or a guest in studios, and we still focus at issues of national concern. And today we are going to be discussing something very interesting that is yet to happen in this country, and this is the Second Africa High-Level Forum on South-South and Triangular Cooperation for Sustainable Development. Now, when you hear high level, it means the issues of regional importance that are going to be discussed, but also it is going to bring in a number of experts, and this is all towards our region, but also Uganda as the host country for this great forum that is going to be here. Now, when we talk about region, we are referring to the South-South and then triangular. So when you look at our geographical location, if you have very much regarding the Africa map, you know which particular countries. But I have guests in studios who will take us entirely through that, and of course, why South-South, then we go to triangular. And I have Emmanuel Katumba, who happens to be the planner, Africa Peer Review Mechanisms. He's with me in studios this morning, and also he will be discussing more regarding the topic of today. But also, I have Emile Chelangat, who is the head of communication at the National Planning Authority. Ladies and gentlemen, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much.
I must say, you're really smart.
Thank you.
When I look at Owenchima, he's looking extremely smart.
Fantastic.
And of course, Chiplenget, don't get offended. Owenchima simply means a person coming from the Manke clan, which Katumba is a prominent name there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and of course, black and red. Oh, I'm just enjoying whenever I'm in company of very smart people. I love that. Now, even before we go to the forum, let's begin by understanding, first and foremost, Katumba, when we are talking about the history to what is going to be happening, because yes, much as we're going to have a high-level forum, how did we get to this? Take us through, or give us at least a brief on how we got to this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chirabo. And thanks to the management of UBC for allowing us to come around here. And thank you for the work you are doing. The nation is proud of you. And we at the National Planning Authority, we are also proud of you. What is the history? How did we get here? You see, when you talk about APRM, what did you mean? African Peer Review Mechanism is an organ of the African Union. Uganda was selected to host 3 conferences: the Youth Symposium, the South-to-South Triangular Conference, and the Migration Conference. So far as we speak, we've already organized successfully the Youth Conference, which happened last year, where His Excellency the President did address over 800 participants. It had to do with youth issues in networking, in education, in job creation, as it is in the Agenda 2063 of the African Union. So that forms a background. But how do we now get to the South-to-South? As I've said in the beginning, that we were tasked to organize 3 conferences. The first one on the youth is finished. Now, between 17th to 19th, we are now organizing the South-to-South Triangular Conference. Maybe one will wonder, why South-to-South? I should say, and I must say, in 1978, countries of the global South, in geography would say countries of the Southern Hemisphere, all right? And here you'll mention for the African countries, you look at Africa, see where Uganda is located, where the equator is, and get downwards. And all those countries in that corridor, talk of China, talk of Thailand, talk of Argentina, Brazil. Now when you come to Africa, Tanzania, those southern countries, those are countries of the global south. They met in 1978 in Buenos Aires, the capital city of Argentina. And they were looking at how can we work together for the good of humanity? How can we cooperate in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of infrastructure, and all aspects of life to see that our people get to another level. Because as you see, even from nature of creation, when you look at these fingers, they are not the same size. Some countries have developed high in technology, others at point number 1, others are in the middle part, others have reached the top. How can we see that countries within the global south that have scored to the top, countries like China, how can they help those that are down? All right? This is where the cooperation starts. Now, we are coming together. Our work is to accelerate. Our work is to implement what our founders in 1978 did envisage. So we are here to ensure that what they started does not collapse. What they started continues for generations and generations. But it should also be noted that when these people started this cooperation in 1978, after 40 years, that is around 2019, they met again to review progress, what challenges, and then a way forward. So our work today, as we organize this conference, is to see how we've progressed. Where are we doing well? Where are we not doing well? And what lessons are we learning? And what solutions are we providing? Maybe later along the way in the program, I will give our viewers what is going to happen in the conference. Definitely. What topics are we discussing?
Well, we'll get to that.
And who are the participants? Let's
cross the bridge when we get there. Well, we are still looking at a conference that is coming up in Uganda, as of course Ali Katumba has given us a brief background. But also, Emily, when we see the National Planning Authority, and then we see the African peer review mechanism, one thing that comes is help us connect the two, and then later this conference.
Thank you very much. So talking of the African peer review mechanism, and the National Planning Authority. So the National Planning Authority is an institution of government that is established by the NPA Act of 2002. And the mandate of the National Planning Authority is to produce integrated and also comprehensive national development plans for the country. Long-term and short-term, that is 5 years and then also 30 years, as we know, of the National Development Plan 3 that we are implementing now, which seeks to implement what is envisioned by 2040, how Uganda should look, or what Uganda should characterize. So the National Planning Authority, in that mandate, has several other key responsibilities. And one of them is to work together with international agencies and corporations to find a way of finding solutions to the challenges that Uganda has, and also to help it guide the planning that institutions and ministries and departments and the general private sector implement. So the African peer review mechanism comes in through the mandate of the Planning Authority to cooperate with other international but also regional bodies in helping Uganda grow. So the National Planning Authority, together with the APRM, the African peer review mechanism, which is an organ of the African Union, is a mechanism where heads of countries peer review each other. They check each other, how Uganda, the head of Uganda, the president, has the opportunity to discuss with other heads of African countries on how they are progressing. They say the Kenyan government looks at Uganda and say, I think you're not doing well in this. Uganda says, oh, I think you're doing better in this. What can I learn from you? That is the whole that's the whole purpose of the African peer review mechanism. So it brings together heads of countries where they talk and discuss their issues and find solutions to guide growth towards attaining the African Union Agenda 2063. Okay. Yeah, so that is the mandate of the Planning Authority, but also the APRM peer review mechanism in Uganda. So the APRM is housed at the Planning Authority, that is the National Secretariat, and the focal point for the APRM in Uganda is the Minister of Planning, who is now the Honorable Minister Amos Lugolobi. Okay. So that is a brief about the APRM and NPA and how we happen to be the ones hosting the South-to-South Triangular Cooperation High-Level Forum. Yes. Now,
this takes me back to Katumba. What have been some of the outstanding benefits for Uganda, more so in this cooperation, the SSTC? Let's know, what can we say that over time we've achieved this?
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Chirabo, and I also thank Emily for giving the background of the APRM. But before I come to the achievements, I think the viewers have to note here that what are some of the principles on which the APRM is working and is going to cooperate. There are issues of democracy. There are issues of corporate governance. There are issues of infrastructure. There are issues of the social networking. There are issues of health. There are issues of education. So when Emily tells you that APRM is a serious organ of the AU, it is indeed serious. There's a lot we do. And the people out there have really to join us in the struggle, and then we move. At this point, I would wish to thank, before I come to the achievements, our focal point, Honorable Amos Lugolobi, who is doing a lot, and all the other cabinet ministers. But more to this, I would wish to thank His Excellency the President, who is the champion of all these. As you're already aware, as a head of state, is mandated and is charged with the responsibility of seeing that democracy is at hand, economic growth is at hand, infrastructural expansion is at hand, the social networking and all that. Now, what are the benefits? From the onset, as I told you, that countries of the Global South met in 1978 in Argentina, far way long. If you now see 1978 and today, there is a lot of progress. And as I told you, in the Global South, there are countries who are above others. As I said, there are those at the lower grid, there are those at the middle grid, and there are those at the top grid. And they've advanced in a lot. I started by saying there is issues of trade relationship. You'll find that a country like China, a country like Thailand, a country like Argentina, Brazil, and the others, they can offer market for Uganda's goods. That is the cooperation. And now in this, as we sell to them, they also give us what we don't produce. And this will now lead to what we call technology transfer. When actually, Chiraba, as I speak now, you may be holding a Chinese phone. I also have a Chinese phone. Emily is first class, maybe she has USA and other, but she could also be having a Chinese computer. So you see how now technology is being transferred from the other side to this way. But we are also saying in this cooperation we should not only end at importing these things. This technology must, and I pray one day, must come down into Uganda. So that these phones are made where? Are made here. Thanks to President Museveni and the Ministry of Investment, I think we've started making phones. You saw the other time when the President was launching a phone making industry in Namamve. So this is what we want. So there has been cooperation in issues of trade. There has been cooperation in issues of education, where you find these countries, Malaysia recently, provided over 50 scholarships to science students. So these are the things we're saying. And we are also saying, among the benefits, there is exchange of academicians, professors from those developed countries coming to exchange with those professors in Makerere and other universities, so that knowledge is shared. You see, what is killing our development is lack of capacity to share knowledge. So if you don't share knowledge, then you remain with what you have, and then the other one remains with what he he or she has. And in that, you will cripple development. We have also got benefits where we've had these developed countries extending grants and loans. The Chinese country has been very critical and fundamental on this. It has had to fund projects in agriculture, in education, roads, and others. So all these we are saying they are own, but how can we further strengthen and implement them? So this is another achievement we've had. We've promoted networks. We've promoted networks. You are here, but you are networking with somebody in that country and you are sharing knowledge. What you are missing here, you can get it from the neighbor. As you already know, that knowledge is very critical for our development. You need it to add on what you have so that you can progress. And also in issues of governance. We've had workshops organized here and the other side, and our people go to share experience, to see where they are, where they should be. What is this making them not get there? And now this is why we say some solutions have been got through the cooperation. And I have to say, some of the Ugandans who have trained in these countries have come back and have brought the knowledge here. These things which you see advancing here in Uganda don't come by accident. Some of them are as a result of shared experience. So this conference, ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers, is really very important. It's of significant benefit, and I know our country will not remain the same when we have this conference. And I'm happy. The leadership is in support. Actually, His Excellency, the President, is at the forefront to seeing that this comes to pass. And we are calling upon everybody to join us. The benefits are enormous, and we shall continue to move in the footsteps.
I can see the passion that Katumba is using, of course, to explain. It is at the heart. He talks about how this has been very beneficial. And we must now go for a short break. But when we return, Emily will be telling us more regarding the conference. I know many Ugandans want to attend. I know because there is both personal and then national, then later regional benefits. When you talk about networking, one of the things I find that many people may not really, or sometimes we take for granted, is networking. It can take you to places you don't know. But let's discuss that when we return.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Pick of the day on UBC. Objective and non-partisan.
Honorable Minister, there were a number of points. I want to start with you.
Straight from the hearts of open-minded men and women.
Money tends to move faster at night. So when people are not counting,
don't take it for granted.
Candid and authentic.
Because Uganda is not Thailand.
That's not correct, and we should stop that kind of mentality. So what I'm saying
that's
is
a trick question. Don't answer.
I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that.
Tell him you speak low.
I think that's where we are beginning to have a problem.
Was brought to you by
Gatawo with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
The 37th National Resistance Movement Liberation Day is here. This will be celebrated on the 26th of January 2023 under the theme, Our Tireless Effort to Transform Uganda is a Promise We Can't Afford to Fail. The NRM government has made a lot of achievements in the different sectors like infrastructure development, health sector, ICT, agriculture, education and sports, trade and industry, not forgetting peace and security. This year's event will be held at Kakeka Grounds, Kakumiro Town Council, Kakumiro District. Long live NRM, long live Uganda.
It's our mission Protecting your money is as important as earning it. It is for this reason that the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, DPF, was established by the government of Uganda to provide deposit protection to customers of regulated financial institutions. In the unlikely event that your commercial bank, credit institution or microfinance deposit-taking institution fails, the DPF will pay you up to 10 million Uganda shillings. Keep your personal information such as national identification number, mobile phone or an alternative bank account updated with your banker. Terms and conditions apply. For more information, contact DPF at Aha Towers, Plot 7 Lodell Road, Kampala. Call 0312 206 400 or visit our website at www.dpf.or.ug.
We are the DPF. We protect your money. Protection Fund of Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that short break. Thank you so much for being with us here on UBC TV. Well, we are still looking at the second high-level forum on the South-South Triangular. This is area that is going to be held here in Kampala. And of course, we've given you the history to this. We've talked about the benefits. Now, the conference is here. We want to look at the objectives because according to what Katumba was telling us and of course what Emily said, it seems what was supposed to be done is laid out. You know, so you simply know what you're going to be following. The question therefore is, why then the conference? What are the objectives of this conference?
Thank you very much. So why the conference? Why are we even, why are people meeting? Yes. Why are people coming to Uganda from different countries and across the continent and Asia and the South Pacific? We are here basically because of what was agreed in 1978 in the Buenos Aires Action Plan. One of the key things that was agreed is that developing countries should be able to be self-reliant, using their own resources, help themselves grow as individual countries, but also sticking to their values, the national values. We've had many cases where there are things that say, oh no, that is not practiced here, or those are things that are not acceptable here. So that the action plan, the BAPA, agreed that countries, developing countries, should be able to be self-reliant, but also stick to their values as countries. Then the other thing was that the developing countries together as developing countries could be able to identify and analyze their problems and be able to solve them themselves without needing support from far-off countries or without needing loans, but being able to help each other as countries that are developing to develop themselves. And then the other thing was that that developing countries will be able to identify and analyze their own problems. That is building capacity to do things like feasibility studies for a project, that they should be able to do it themselves, but also find solutions to the everyday problems that they face. Another objective was that they should be able to share information and knowledge for the purpose of growth and development. And then another objective also is that the countries should have been able to build capacity of the population. That would be directly linked to the human capital, developing the human capital of the population in those countries. Yeah, so that is why we are sitting to discuss the issues so that we actually reach towards those goals of being self-reliant, of being able to integrate each other's best practices so that we all develop as a region and also join the developed world. Yeah.
Well, in case you've just joined, you could be wondering, what are we discussing? We are discussing the yet to be hosted in Uganda, hosted by the government of Uganda, the African Peer Review Commission, and of course the National Planning Authority, where it's going to be a mega conference, and that is the second Africa High-Level Forum on South-South and Triangular Cooperation for Sustainable Development. Now, in Uganda, when you talk about high-level forum conferences that are going to be held One of the things you must be very strict about is who are going to attend, venue, when, who are going to attend, because there is so much. Ugandans want networking, and of course now this is containing a lot of opportunity. Someone told me that opportunities come to those that are prepared.
That's true.
Yeah?
That's true.
You just don't say someone takes over any. It is those that are prepared that get to opportunities.
Yes.
Now there are those that know how to fix themselves in the war of opportunities. So that brings me to who is invited. Who are we expecting?
Who is who?
Who is who?
Who is who in the
Someone may say, Robert, I'm fixing my way
Yes.
in the line of opportunity.
Actually, Mr. Chirabu, from where you've stopped, now somebody out there might be scheming, saying there's a lot of allowances there. Let me just go and dive into the conference. But I want to say,
masqueraders.
Yes,
you find someone is a Chirabo Robert of UBC,
and he's already there, well tagged, and is in the system. He wants to manipulate and move on. But we are saying from the onset, attendance is strictly by invitation.
Okay.
Let me make that clear. This is a 3 days conference. The conference will be opened on the 17th January. Of course, this very year 2023 at Munyonyo Speak Resort Hotel by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Sabalwanyi Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, or his delegate, because the discretion is on him.
Actually, when we are talking about His Excellency, you say he's expected.
Yes, His Excellency the President is expected to officially open, set us into business for this. And of course, you know, he's a good time manager. We believe and think by around 9 we shall be in business at Munyonyo. Now, who is expected there? Of course, both nationally here and internationally, the people to attend this conference, their invitations have already reached them. So, as I speak now, if you've not seen any invitation on your desk, consider yourself not invited live at Munyonyo, but invited through another form.
Just like me.
Yes. Now, Mr. Chirabo, I want to officially say to you, you are seriously and eminently invited to watch UBC live. Because the conference will be live on the
UBC,
TV.
yes.
So now, you should not say, now it's for us we are left. You are not left. If you are unable to capture UBC, then we are going to live stream on social media. All right? This is why Emily is here, head of communication. So we have all channels to reach everyone, even the person in the deepest village. Actually, my mother is 78 years. She has a WhatsApp phone. I've already told her she will be also live streaming. She will be seeing me. They are moving left and right to ensure, and other officials to ensure that the function is a success. So now, those invited, I could do very fast go through. We have over 80 international participants from the countries we mentioned. Don't forget, the countries of the global south.
Yes.
Among these,
South, triangular, and yes.
So countries like South Africa, countries like Zimbabwe, Malawi, all these, Tanzania, actually the East African community is also part of us here, and it will have a representative and they will have to speak. Then we're also talking about those countries, Malaysia, China, Singapore, you know, Argentina, Brazil. We have speakers all over the world. But this is not to suggest that we are not going to share information with the countries of the Northern Bloc. We have people, we have experts traveling from USA, coming to present papers here. So this should be noted, because somebody may think that, oh, these people are only sharing knowledge in the global south. They've forgotten the global north. No, the global north will be represented because we have professors, eminent persons who have outstanding knowledge in development, in infrastructure, in science. They will be coming to speak to us. So those ones, over 80 participants already catered for. Their invitations have gone, and we expect wherever they are, they might also be watching UBC. So if they are watching UBC, then I'm communicating to them.
Okay.
That your invitations are
another
already
category
sent.
in the interest of time.
Another category is the national category. Different ministries in Uganda. Ministry of Water, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Internal Affairs, Ministry of Tourism. And by the way, something fundamental here, we must market Uganda. Remember, we are having people from the foreign world coming. So you cannot leave tourism out. Ministry of Agriculture, some of the ministries that have benefited from the intervention of the Global South will participate. Already their ministers, permanent secretaries, and the commissioners have already been invited. Their invitation is already there in their offices. And of course, the APRM staff, because we are the people, so now for that matter, the APRM staff, the NP staff, Ministry of Finance, Parliament, and all the other entities that are connected and related to this, we've invited them. So how is the program like? As I've said on 17th is a great day.
The grand reopening.
And I'm calling upon everybody who is supposed to attend this opening. Number one, as you're already aware, H is there, you must have taken a COVID test. All right? And then secondly, you must be duly accredited. I don't want to see a Chirabo coming with a card that is not what we gave out. So accreditation remains very critical. Time management on the 17th. Be there in time to avoid inconveniences. Are we together? So when the grand opening is done, of course, the people we expect there, I must say, we are expecting the Right Honorable Prime Minister. She will be there. We are expecting cabinet ministers. And of course, I'm expecting Minister of Finance to be there, right from the Senior Minister, Honorable Matia Kasaija, and our Minister, Honorable Amos Rugolobi, and the other ministers in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Plan. So I expect those to be there, and the others. Now, day one is a very serious day and a very historical day in the life of the conference. That is when we shall set into business. So everybody concerned, be there. Now, day two, we shall continue to discuss, as we said in the beginning, those areas of cooperation. Day two, we shall have discussion on the implementation of what was agreed upon 1978, 2019, and the issues in the Agenda 2063. There are a lot of issues there on governance, on development, and others. Also on issues of the UN under the Sustainable Development Goals. Of course, our viewers outside.
So basically, each day will have specific areas.
Each day will have a specific.
Well, now allow me here bring in Emily Katumba, because now we know the days, what will be discussed, but also there is concern on what specific areas is this conference going to look at. Yes, because we can't have all of these guests, and of course 40 years down the road is a very big, but what are those specific areas? Because one of the things that sometimes I find with these international conferences, I've gone to them, unfortunately I'm not invited physically there, but well, I'll be on UBC watching. But one thing that I've found is sometimes you wonder, what have we discussed? Then only at the end of that day, there's that session of grouping. Then you hear, let's come up with a common recommendations or communique. And like, well, was it about coming, sitting, and enjoying a good food meeting? And so, okay, it has happened, accountability has been done. But for this particular one, let's know the areas of focus, so that they that we will be following, we can have proper yardsticks to say, let's evaluate.
Yes, so thank you very much. So out of the forum, at the end of the forum, this is what we shall have discussed. One very key area is digitalization.
Good.
How do we use technology to help develop our countries? What areas in technology have we not explored? What areas of technology has other countries succeeded on that we can borrow? Then the other key area is also climate change. We have a very big issue with climate change, with over 70% of our population being farmers. So the climate change issue will also be one of the key areas for discussion. We shall also have to look at how science and technology can be used to further push development in the different countries that we'll be meeting. We shall also look at things like infrastructure, more sustainable ways of having infrastructure projects, more cost-effective ways of establishing things like hydropower dams, things like that. We shall also have, of course, we cannot have conclude the conference without talking about issues of women and the youth. How do we ensure that the youth dividend is achieved, that most of the youth are able to get employment, but also support the development of economies. Yeah. So those are some of the key areas that will be discussed during the
forum. The youth always had meaningful employment.
Meaningful employment. gainful employment.
Meaningful. Because you find, no, youth are employed.
But yeah, exactly.
Youth are not employed.
Yes,
but youth are
that's
employed.
Very cool. Yeah.
You find someone who tell you, I collect bottles in that employment. I take to some place and at the end of the day I get my 500K, not employment, but gainful, meaningful employment.
Yes.
Well, can I make a supplement in that?
Briefly, if you can, yes.
Yes, of course, Emily has talked about those areas. At the end of the day, we shall have discussed. But we are also going to discuss some of the way forward after being hit by COVID. We had locusts, we had floods. So we cannot just leave without talking about that. We're also going to talk about youth empowerment. After the conference, what are some of the interventions? Because remember, the founders like this. So at the end of the conference, we want to see jobs created for our youths, empowerment of the women. That is gender now, gender and emancipation. We're also going to talk about all those infrastructure she's talking about in terms of development, in terms of roads and the rest of it. And we're also saying, at the end of the day, we are going to strengthen the discussion on the role of the United Nations, because we shall have speakers from the UN, the role of the African Union, we shall have speakers from the African Union, the role of the East African Community, we shall have speakers from the East African Community, in the South to South implementation action plan. What is their role? What are they going to do after the 40 years we are at this level? What will UN do for us? What will African Union? What will the East African Community? In short, we are all looking at cooperating to see that humanity and life is the best thing to talk about.
Now, Emily, before I get your final remark, are we going to have what I usually see on most of these conferences? Either are we going to have final recommendations, a communique or something like that? Because 40 years meeting now, usually there's a paper or laying the way forward on what we should address. And for me, that is the most, when I go to report about a conference, that is the most interesting bit I wait for. What of meeting, the second conference of this met in Kampala on such, so that this is a declaration to determine the way forward.
Thank you very much. Yes, of course, we shall have a resultant outcome document. What we didn't say is that this is the second Africa South-to-South Triangular Cooperation Conference. The first one was held last year in Egypt. But that discussed governance issues, basically. Now, this one is discussing those areas of digitalization, agriculture, climate change. From the first one, there were things that were picked out that now the UN agencies, governments have taken forward to implement. From this one, they will also pick things and key outputs that will be implemented by different agencies and governments. So an outcome document will come out, and which shall be shared with the public, with the region and the continent at large, and it shall be followed through. Because now there will be a series. Every time we hold the conferences, there will be how far have we come with what we agreed with the previous one.
Okay. Yes. Well, I must let you go. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.
Well, there's so much we've discussed, but I know before I let you go, I can see Katumba is how time flies so fast. I'll just give you a minute.
In a second.
If you can, in a second. Let me give you a minute.
Okay. First of all, moderator, thank you. Management UBC, bravo. But also National Planning Authority, right from the chair board, Professor Pamela, and all the others. Executive Director Dr. Mvawala and all the others, APRM, led by Sylvia Ngay, you are doing a good job and please continue. But now to summarize and to get to the point. All our viewers out there, engage social media, engage the media houses. As we said, we shall be live streaming, we shall be live. UBC promise, you will be there. And Chiraba, I expect you to be on ground. Come that day. This is not a Katumba issue. This is a national and international issue. It is for all of us. Okay. So please, ladies and gentlemen, our viewers, we are calling upon you, we are looking at you to come and be with us. We are in the era of terrorism. Some of the don't carry extra gadgets that are not needed. Powerful cameras, those ones you can leave aside. You will benefit from what the conference has organized. I want to
thank you for using your minute very well, and let me give Emily also a minute.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for hosting us at UBC, and thank you for giving us this platform to share more about the conference. We are hopeful, and we believe that out of this conference we shall be able to attain the Africa we want, as accorded by the Agenda 2063, but also attain our Uganda Vision 2040 targets. But also, through the conference, shall be able to have certain agreements with different corporations in ways of developing our country further through different agreements. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Time is not so much on my side. I must move out from here where we've been discussing, that is the second Africa High-Level Forum on South-South and Triangular Cooperation for Sustainable Development that is going to be hosted here in Kampala. And of course, my guests have told you, though I've been invited, it's strictly on invitation. Come, but there are other avenues through which you can follow. Have been with, that is Emmanuel Katumba, who happens to be the Planner Africa Peer Review Mechanism, and Emily Chelangat, who is the Head of Communication National Planning Authority. See you tomorrow, same time. God willing, stay safe and protect yourself against being involved in any form of criminality. Ignorance of the law is not excuse. So please, let's stay safe and peaceful. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.